The Odyssey, a disastrous triumph, the critical drinker. And it seems like Rotten Tomatoes is compromised because it's incredibly positive, but it's not positive at the same time. People enjoy it for the aesthetic of it, but people don't care for the story of it. It seems very confusing. I've been hearing very contradicting things. I've been looking up positive reviews. I've been seeing negative reviews. It's like, I don't know. But I'm going to check out the critical drinker. Normally, me and him see eye to eye in how we review things. Not always, but I just want to hear his thoughts on it. I want to hear his thoughts on it. And he's got a enjoyable way of telling the stories. The Odyssey, a disastrous triumph.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, this one's been a long time coming. Several days longer than I expected, if I'm honest. Mostly because of the fine people at American Airlines, who managed to cancel my flights not once, but 2 days in a row, forcing me to embark on my own personal odyssey just to get home. It wasn't all bad, though. All that enforced leisure time did at least give me a chance to catch up on the movie itself, and so...
Oh, A Clockwork Orange. This is gonna get me on another tangent. Like, Taxi Driver, One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest, A Clockwork Orange, all like classic films that were iconic for their time. Taxi Driver was Joker was a remake of Taxi Driver. They could have made Joker 2 a remake of One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest, and Joker 3 a remake of A Clockwork Orange, which is like The Killing Joke. They could have made it like The Killing Joke. It absolutely, you know what? That's a whole other thing, but yeah. A Clockwork Orange, very bad film, but honestly one that people have to watch at least once in their life when they're an adult. I saw it when I was a kid. Big mistake.
Here we find ourselves. If there's one thing I never had on my bingo card for this year, it's that the most contentious, bitterly controversial, and divisive movie of 2026 would be made by Christopher Nolan, of all people. Depending on who you talk to, The Odyssey is either a disgusting cinematic abomination that completely subverts and disrespects Homer's original work while shamelessly pandering to the mythical modern audience, or an undisputed masterpiece of film, the crowning achievement of Nolan's career, and a strong candidate for the greatest thing the human race has ever achieved. Fucking calm down, love. But no matter which side of the divide you come down on, half the movie-going world is going to despise you until the end of time itself.
Welcome to America!
Here's the thing though, dear viewer, real life is a bit more complicated and nuanced than...
I think it would have been better if they had the Will Smith scene where he punches the alien in Independence Day and saying, "Welcome to Earth." Because it's more of an earthly concept, the fact that it's not just America. It's not just America. We all have our biases, we all have our preferences, we all have our fences that we die on.
And as it turns out, so is the Odyssey. And now that I've had a chance to experience Christopher Nolan's wannabe magnum opus for myself, what is my verdict? Meh. I know that sounds like a bit of a weird reaction considering all the hype.
Yeah, the thing is like, everything, like, how I feel, it's Christopher Nolan. It'll be cinematically beautiful. But everything else is like, whatever. And for film goers who absolutely love like cinematography and seeing how shots are stylized, we go for it and enjoy it for that. But if the story isn't there, then we're like, all right, well, it's meh. I saw it. I still want to see it. Absolutely. I still want to see it, but I'm not going to pay to go to theaters to watch it. No, this is one of those I'll wait. I already knew it was going to be a meh film to me a long time ago. Actually, I was thinking it would be more of a thumbs down, but the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, meh. It's not going to be the greatest film ever. However, I'm going to be honest, I don't care much for Christopher Nolan. He's an amazing director. I'll give him that. He's amazing. He has an eye for it, and the cinematography in his shots is absolutely beautiful. But in the end, they've been more like a mixed bag for me. They've always been a mixed bag for me. So it most likely would have just been a meh, just because of meh. He did not like it. I thought he will. I thought he wouldn't. I thought he would love the cinematography of it, but not so much everything else. Like the modern language, all that extra stuff, it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. The weird casting just feels off. When you can't immerse yourself in the element, you've already lost the audience. And the thing is, with the casting, they lost the audience because of the casting.
Around this film, but it's the word that best sums up.
Hey bro, I am from Shengcast. Please make a video supporting us. I'm pretty sure I already did. Pretty sure. Well, at least I was acknowledging the cast system. I check out Wani videos, I check out like the cast system videos, so I'm good.
Up my feelings by the time the credits rolled.
Unless there's
I just
another one I can
didn't
watch.
feel much of anything.
Yep.
For all the controversies and culture warfare swirling around it, the Odyssey was pretty much exactly what I expected from a late-stage Christopher Nolan film. Technically impressive and commendably ambitious, visually dour and bleak, emotionally sterile and weirdly lacking in pace, urgency, or satisfying payoffs, populated by cold, distant characters that give nothing away and invite no empathy from the audience.
Nolan and is like Snyder. Often his movies are great visually, with some rare movies with good writing. Yeah, honestly, that's a good similarity, because Snyder and Nolan have this weird fan base that no matter what they do, they will have this deranged fan base go to bat for them no matter what. No matter what. And it's just like, why can't you just watch something analytically? Why do you have to praise it just because this person did it? People need to separate the art from the artist. I say that all the time, but India has the issue with like the actor praise. It seems like the US has the opposite issue with the director praise, because nobody cares about actors anymore in the US. They praise the directors.
Dialogue that's jarringly clunky and on the nose, often delivered by talented but miscast actors, and ultimately, an ending that fails to capitalize on its incredible build-up. It's a movie about love, yearning, adventure, wonder, mysticism, and epic mythology woven together by a man who either can't or won't understand any of those things. The Odyssey picks up about 20 years after the fall of Troy and the end of the Trojan Wars. Matt Damon's living on a beach with Charlize Theron with no memory of how he got there, while Zendaya stares at him every once in a while to display her incredible acting range. Ha! Go on, love, show us what you can do.
James Gunn is entering the club with rabbit-obsessed fans. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Everyone, James Gunn, Superman directed by James Gunn, James Gunn, Supergirl produced by James Gunn, James Gunn. It's James Gunn's Peacemaker, the concept brainchild of James Gunn. He's so self-absorbed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Wait, this setup acts as a framing device for the rest of the narrative that gradually gets filled in the form of flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The first of which is the Siege of Troy, where Matt Damon uses the Trojan horse to get him and his men inside so they can open the gates and end the 10-year-long siege. Yep, it took him 10 years to come up with that fucking idea. Anyway, with the war successfully over, everyone's like, guess we'll go home then. His second in command is like, shall we take the quickest, easiest, and most logical route, sir? But Matt Damon's like, nah, it'll be fine. So instead they head south and end up trapped in a cave with a giant cyclops that eats a few of them. Then they escape, but Matt Damon just can't resist shooting it with his bow, which incurs the wrath of Poseidon, who blows them to another island
Because they shot
altogether,
his
where they
son.
run into a bunch of medieval space marines who promptly kill the shit out of them. It's at this point that the survivors decide they've had pretty much enough of Matt Damon's shit, and they head off to find a lovely woman named Cersei who turns them into pigs because she hates men or something. But then Matt Damon shows up and persuades her to turn them back into humans, and decides he should probably get some advice on how to get home quickly because, you know, this whole journey is starting to drag on a bit now. So him and his bros literally go to hell itself and get berated by the spirit of Elliot Page for a while, then land on another island where they're told not to eat any of the cattle there or they'll all be cursed to death. So they eat the cattle, and wouldn't you know it, their ship gets destroyed in a storm, and Matt Damon washes up on a beach with Charlize Theron, who keeps him drugged and ignorant for the next 7 years. But eventually he decides he ought to get back to his wife Anne Hathaway because it's been like 20 years now, and she's probably wondering where he got to. I mean, like, no offense to Anne Hathaway or anything, but if I had a choice between her and an immortal Charlize Theron, well, I know which one I'd be choosing.
That's the problem with the casting. Again, I don't think Anna Hathaway is Anna Hathaway. I've never seen her in anything that I believed her in. Like, even Princess Diary, I enjoy that movie. I've only ever seen it once. I was a kid when I watched it. It's like one of those feel-good type movies. Anna Hathaway was the same when she was nerdy and bookish than when she got the beauty change. She was the exact same person. She's the exact same person that she was in that film that she was in The Dark Knight. She's the exact same person that she was in that film that she was in The Devil Wears Prada. She was the exact same in that film as she was. You can go on and on and on and on and on. She's the same person. She has no depth of range. I find it ridiculous how she's an actress when she can't act. She's the same person over and over and over again. I can emote more than she can. Sorry. It's going a little off there. A little off.
Anyway, so he makes a raft out of bits of leftover ship that washed up with him and just kind of says, fuck it, let's see where I end up. And wouldn't you know it, he ends up right back at Ithaca, the very place he's been trying to get to this whole time. That was lucky. Now, while all this has been going on, Anne Hathaway's been fending off potential suitors who all want to marry her so they can become the next king of Ithaca, and as you can imagine, they're getting a bit impatient after 2 decades of being dicked around. Anyway, can Anne Hathaway hold out until Matt Damon rescues himself for the first time in cinema history, or will Ithaca fall to chaos and bloodsheds? You know, when I see the frankly ludicrous amount of praise that's been heaped on this movie over the past week, it kind of reminds me of the borderline hysteria around Black Panther a few years ago, except with pretentious wannabe intellectuals.
And the funny thing is like with Black Panther, I was honest, like I enjoyed it. The thing is, Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok are the exact same film, beat for beat. The exact same film, beat for beat. A family member you didn't know existed comes back from the dead to take the throne for themselves. You end up being dethroned. You come back to get the throne. Do these films sound exactly the same to you? However, one of them was enjoyable, fun to watch. The other one had Michael B. Jordan. That's it. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I like that film, Michael B. Jordan killed it. Him as Killmonger, the fact that he was deprived the throne, he won the fight. The fact that they cheated consistently to deprive him of his rightful place on that throne is the worst thing they did in that film. They cheated over and over and over again. Michael B. Jordan is Black Panther. He's the only Black Panther. But Thor Ragnarok was a more enjoyable film. Better pacing, much more fun, had some funny scenes. It wasn't constantly cliche. I just loved it. I just loved it. And you were rooting for the heroes at the end. At the end of Black Panther, I was hating the heroes and I was rooting for the villain. I was rooting for the villain. Even when he's talking about, you know what, just throw me in the ocean, have me die like all the other slaves that from our... It's a beautiful line. Beautiful line. You can tell like he was in it. He was like, I'm so zoned out against everyone else in the world. I loved it. I loved Michael B. Jordan's portrayal. Everything else in the movie sucked. I'll be honest. And Thor Ragnarok and they were the exact same film. They were the exact same film. I don't know why it got so much praise. Oh, because black people. Well, that's stupid. I thought they were human beings just like everyone else.
Was terrified of getting lumped in with the unwashed plebs if they dare to criticize Nolan's masterpiece, or just partisan culture warriors willing to say and do basically anything to own the chuds. The movie's been dogged by controversy ever since the initial casting was announced, so I guess we might as well start by addressing the 3 elephants in the room. Yes, Elliot Page, Lupita Nyong'o, and Zendaya are all in this movie. Yes, Elliot Page looks just as ridiculous as you might imagine trying to run in a heavy suit of armor. No, they don't have more than a couple of minutes of screen time each and they're largely irrelevant to the story, and Zendaya doesn't even act so much as exists on screen. And yeah,
like
I know it's the
film.
principle of the thing for a lot of people, and if you're really bothered by stuff like that, it's kind of like me saying I only spat in your food a little bit, so why aren't you eating it? The point I'm getting at here is that as much as these 3 dominated the headlines around this movie, they really don't have much of an impact on the film itself, and they had no impact on my perception of it. They come and go so quickly you barely even notice them. While we're talking about casting though, probably the funniest bit for me was John Leguizamo as a blind old servant of Odysseus who's been given a shitty white wig to try to make him look older, and basically nothing else. I mean,
yeah, the fact that this person constantly chirps on the fact that more Hispanic people need roles that they can be proud of. Like, he doesn't think white people should be given Hispanic roles. That's why he's so against Mario. Well, Mario is a Spanish, what's the cliche? Like, be like Mario. He's created in Japan, sounds Italian, but looks Mexican. Like, who do you cast for that role? Do you cast an Italian? Do you cast a Japanese person where Mario's originally from? Or do you cast a Mexican? Or do you wait till all 3 of those moons align and you find the one child that's born like that? Well, there probably are a few. But do they have acting range? It's like this whole sheer weird... I think voice actors should be allowed to play anything they want. However, if you're playing a character that's a part of history or piece of time, it should be relevant to that character. Like, it's rare where you see actual race change of a character be better for it. Like, the only ones people can really think of are like Blade or like Nick Fury. those race swaps literally put those characters on the map because nobody cared when they were white. They were just basic characters. But the thing is, the fact that he constantly chirped about how Mexicans should always play Mexicans, why the heck is he playing a Greek? What Greek DNA does he have in him? That's like my dad saying he can be he can play Egyptian. It's like, no, Dad, you can't. Maybe you can play Alexander Cortez. Maybe, because there is that DNA of Spaniards in Mexico. But maybe you can play Cortez. You cannot play a Grecian or an Egyptian. You can't. My wife could. But yeah, I couldn't. I mean, heck, with that dynamic, what could I play? What's a half race? What's a half race? Hispanic American. What character exists that's Hispanic American? Like, that's the thing. I can't think of any. Well, why aren't there characters that are Hispanic American that I can see myself as? I could care less. I could see myself in Goku. I could see myself in Vegeta. I could see myself in... I was gonna say Naruto, but not so much Naruto. It was more like Kakashi or Jiraiya. I could see myself in, like, I watch anime because I could see myself as those characters. It's like, what the heck? You watch things because no matter what the character looks like, what they speak like, it's what they do that you identify with. How they talk that you identify with. Their hero tale that you identify with. It has nothing to do with their ethnicity. Nothing to do, unless it's a historical piece that it's like, you kind of want to at least keep it historical. Even though people can relate to it, you don't want to race change people. I mean, still people have issues with Cleopatra.
Couldn't you have just hired an actual old man? Are you really telling me that John Leguizamo was so fucking good that nobody else could play this role? Ah, whatever. Ultimately, you'll either accept stuff like this, or you just won't watch the movie in the first place. For me though, the bigger issue with the Odyssey is the creative philosophy behind it, and I might as well just come out and say it here. I was pretty fucking bored with this movie. Not because of the source material, not because of the labyrinthine adventure, and not because of the runtime, but because it just refuses to let me in. Nolan's slavish devotion to rendering every—
Yep, that's the thing. Like I said, you can love the cinematics. However, if you're not taken in, and I said this at the beginning, if you're not taken in to the video where you're experiencing the journey with everyone else, then you're just clocked out. Everyone's seen a movie that feels like it's 5 hours long. And you look at the clock and only 1 hour has passed and you still have an hour left of that film. Everyone's been through a film like that. For me, it was Janaganamana. The first half felt like 5 freaking hours. And then it gets to the second half of the film, felt like that. It was immediate. Stream got killed. Great. Seems to always happen every now and then. I thought I was doing good.
everything into a grounded, believable tone robs the Odyssey of the very things that make it so compelling. Its mythology and its sense of wonder. It's like looking at some beautiful sculpture rendered into a mathematical formula. You can sense the work and precision that went into it, but it doesn't really stir anything in you. There wasn't a single character in this movie that I could ever truly empathize with and root for, because none of them talk or act anything like real human beings. Damn man, even the fucking gods are boring. I mean, really, Zendaya's the only one who takes physical form, and even then she acts more like Odysseus' conscience than an active part of the narrative. Odysseus himself is written as this weirdly cold, distant, aloof figure who barely reacts to the things he sees and experiences. His decisions imply that he's got a strong sense of adventure, recklessness, and curiosity about the world, but his emotions and dialogue are the exact opposite. He's like an android journeying home with no particular sense of urgency or investment, simply because he's programmed to do it. Where's the loving husband and father desperate to see his family again? Where's the absent king eager to retake the throne and lead his kingdom again? Where's the bold and witty adventurer, the compassionate leader of men? By the time the finale rolled around, I didn't particularly care whether he made it home, because he doesn't seem to care much either. The movie seems to be portraying him as a vaguely traumatized war veteran haunted by his actions at Troy and his guilt over the sacking of the city, which I get the impression wasn't really part of Homer's original story, and his various trials and setbacks are framed more as a well-deserved punishment for what he sees as his betrayal of his principles, which is nice and all, but it also robs him of agency because he's no longer striving towards the goal of getting home, but instead just kind of waiting for the next horrible thing to happen to him. His reunion with his son, his wife, and his vengeance against the suitors should be this triumphant triumphant, cathartic release of emotions that have been building through the whole movie, but it all comes across as flat, procedural, and obligatory. Just a brutal fight in semi-darkness where you can barely even tell what's going on. Shit, man, even watching an old dog finally dying after being reunited with his beloved master for the first time in years, which should be an emotional slam dunk, doesn't really hit because the character himself barely even acknowledges it. The only actor who really seems to be going for it is Robert Pattinson, who plays every trick in the book to make his antagonist as much of an obnoxious, cowardly asshole as possible.
Yeah, like he was turning on his Joffrey from Game of Thrones moment.
Possible. It works. You really do hate the guy, but if the only character in your movie that inspires any kind of emotion is your antagonist, well, you've got problems. Another problem here is the dialogue, not just the jarring use of American accents and modern slang, swear words and terminology, but how fucking on the nose and clumsy it is.
10 years on this fucking beach. Let's go home.
Come on, Chris, you're fucking better than this, man. On the technical side of things, I'll at least give Nolan.
The funny thing is like, I myself don't curse. I don't curse. So it's noticeable when other people do it. So in films, like, I could understand what he was thinking, because this day and age, everyone curses, right? So him including it is more like a meme moments where it's like, oh, look, he said it, he said it. It's like, but for those of us who, I'm not going to say I'm cultured. That's not what I'm going to say. But those of us who like still don't curse, we don't find the need for it. Why do we need to add that to our vocabulary when we can use other verbs and adjectives and everything to kind of, and nouns and whatever, to describe what we're feeling? I don't need to use a curse word in order to show I'm upset. I can actually speak to people and let them know I'm frustrated. I don't need to, you know, it's that simple. It's that simple. That's how I feel. So when I'm watching like a period piece and then that type of dialogue comes out, I'm like, what, did anyone else notice that doesn't belong there? Because to me, I catch it. Most other people don't, because they probably are so used to cursing that to them it's normal. It's like, oh, he said it, he's one of us, like, no, like, that's a huge thing for me, especially on film. You have to be careful with the dialogue. You absolutely have to be.
And props for using practical effects as much as possible and shooting in real locations. That kind of shit really is a vanishing art, and it's nice to see that level of dedication and commitment in modern Hollywood. I mean, I'm not entirely sure where he did his location shooting, but it doesn't look or feel anything like the Eastern Mediterranean, where it's meant to be set. With the washed out colors, overcast grey skies, and bleak windswept hillsides.
Honestly, this kind of looks like, north of San Francisco, there's like a forest where George Lucas had as a ranch originally, the Lucas Ranch, the Skywalker Ranch, that's what it is, which I think is owned by Disney now since they bought all of the Lucas brand. But the thing is, just like it looks like that. You look at the indoor forest from the third Star Wars movie, a sixth Star Wars movie, Return of the Jedi. The indoor forest was shot in that area where his studio was, where he built his studio. It was shot in that area. The trees and everything looks exactly the same. You could probably when he walks a little deeper, they see the houses of the Ewoks, just a little deeper in.
Bleak windswept hillsides, it looks more like Scotland in November. And I guess that really sums up the overall tone of this film. Bleak, dull, muted, and relentlessly dour. An adventure without spirit, a hero's journey without a hero, an epic saga without any sense of scale and grandeur. A clinical, precise, finely engineered movie made by a man of great technical skill and intellectual power, who can process and study every line of the source material, but who seems to lack the romantic soul and the wonder and the sheer humanity to bring it all to life. For me, The Odyssey was an impressive, thought-provoking movie with an incredible cast, made by one of the most successful directors of his age, and it'll probably go on to rake in a lot of money and awards just like we all knew it would. But ultimately, it's a movie I'll probably never watch or even think about again.
That's how you know it's good.
And that really is the most damning indictment
or
of
bad.
all. Anyway,
that's tragic. Like, again, you know a movie's gonna be good if you're gonna watch it again. As long as it's worth watching again, that's where the test to know if it's good or bad. The test to know if it's good or bad. And sadly, a lot of things people don't care to watch again. That there's no point to rewatch it. It's a once and done. It's a once and done. What happened to watching things that would stand the test of time? People don't make those things anymore. It's rare. I think even the way people curse was very different back then. So it feels uncanny valley. That's why dialogue can make or break these kind of movies, though. Yeah, so There is something. So if you've read the Harry Potter books, Hermione Granger doesn't use the same kind of curses like Merlin's beard, Merlin's, she doesn't use those curses ever in the books. However, it's the Deathly Hallows where finally she curses. Was it? Yeah, I think it was the Deathly Hallow. Finally she curses. She says, Merlin's pants. And guess what? Ron and Harry look at each other because we are Ron and Harry at that point in time. We're basically like, did Hermione actually curse for the first time ever? And then Ron constantly starts egging it on. It was like Merlin's perkly white behind, things like that. He was adding on to it because it was just, he wanted to hear her curse again. It was something he'd never heard before from the woman he loves. It's just, it was such a key moment for the story. Cursing held a good point. And guess what? It wasn't even a real curse. It was just cursing in the wizarding world. So there are ways of doing things where they do stand out because you realize in that moment that Hermione has never done any of those like wizardly curses ever before. And then she does it in that moment to have like a character moment. The thing is, when you introduce it where everyone's saying it 24/7, you can't have those character moments anymore. Like, imagine where I'm watching something happens, and then I, out of nowhere, curse. How shocking would it be for people to hear that? I mean, I doubt anyone would actually notice, let's be honest. This day and age. But it'd be weird. I mean, I'd feel weirded out, but I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But that's the thing, it's just like, it was a character moment. You can utilize cursing as a character moment for in your stories. The problem is, you just don't want your character saying it out of nowhere. It doesn't feel natural, it feels forced. It feels forced.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait on that.